thank you for letting me know that you were interested in a Polish subject. So, do you have any connection to Poland? Are you of the Polish heritage? Do you have anybody in your close family who is Polish? How was it that you have chosen this subject?
So what happened was I'm a master's student at Ryerson, and I'm taking journalism, and I had to do a project, and I could write about anything I wanted. And because I did my undergraduate degree in history, I came across a topic that I was interested, which one of my close friends, her grandfather is Polish, and he told a story about how he was displaced by the Soviets, and then he grew up in Africa during World War II.
Yeah.
So then I ended up writing the story on him and one of his friends who had a similar experience, and I did the story for a project. So that's how this kind of came about. I'm not Polish, I'm actually Italian, but I wrote this story, and then I thought that once it's been completed, because I handed it in and everything, I thought maybe it would be something you'd be interested in running at your publication, because it has everything to do with Polish heritage.
Yeah, sure. There is a big group of Polish Canadians who came here from different parts of the world, India, Africa, through Great Britain, because they were deported. You know, in the Second World, at the beginning of the Second World War, Poland was invaded by Nazi Germany and Soviet Russia after 3 weeks, and they have the demarcation line, and they occupied the eastern parts of Poland, which is now Belarus, Ukraine, and so on, and they deported hundreds of thousands of people to Siberia, Kazakhstan, and so on. Why was it interesting for you?
Well, my friend, the girlfriend that whose grandfather I focused the story on, I work with her, and she was just telling me one day, oh, my grandfather grew up in Africa. And I was like, but I thought you were Polish. And she was like, I am Polish. I was like, then why did he grow up in Africa? And so she started to tell me the story. And then I asked her if I could speak to him about it. And then I did. And then I decided to go forward with writing the whole story based on him, because I just found it so interesting, because I'd never heard, even though I did a history degree, I'd never heard that the Polish people were there.
What was your knowledge of the history before you met those two Polish guys? Did you know about this story at all? Because I'm very often I meet people who are saying, okay, so Hitler was in alliance with Stalin. How was that? It doesn't make sense. What for? And so on. They didn't know the history, the real history of the Second World War, and how it changed, and all the complications, and so basically, nowadays for most people, the history of the Second World War is limited to Holocaust, which is the very sad part of those times. But not it is not only about Holocaust. It's about the very large. It was the World War, so it happened all over the world. Anyway, so what was your journey through history? What's your knowledge first, and then what did you learn from it?
Well, I did my undergrad in history, but I mostly did post-World War II, so I did contemporary history. So I knew the basics, I guess, of what had happened in the war, but like you said, it's kind of like World War II, you just think it's the Holocaust. And so I wasn't really aware of all this other stuff that happened. And then when I found out through my friend, and I started talking to these two people, her grandfather and his friend, I started learning a lot more. And when I wrote this article as well, I also spoke with 4 professors from universities all around the world. So I got a lot of historical, I guess, information from professors who study in those fields. And so through all those interviews and that, I learned a lot about, and it was just so interesting, because I didn't know that any of that had happened. And obviously I knew there were British colonies in Africa, but I didn't realize that a lot of them were inhabited by Polish people. So it was super interesting, but that's kind of why I want to get it published somewhere, so that other people can read it, because I've shared it with friends and family. And everyone's so surprised that it happened, but I want more people to know,
Thank you very much for for what you've done. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'll send it over to you then, and then you can tell me what you think. And
Okay.
I guess we can decide from there.
Okay, thank you
Okay,
much.
thank you so much for talking to me this morning.
Yeah, have a good day and talk to
You
you later.
too.